So the region continues to grow, and by region, I'm talking Tacoma again. And not because of the simple fact that I live here. I mean, obviously, it gets a little more focused because I live here, but Tacoma has really made a lot of headlines recently in terms of stepping up. And I did a video talking about, obviously, Tacoma will have better transportation in the year 2022. And I'll put a link, or actually at the end of this video, one of the suggested videos will be about Tacoma will have better transportation in 2022. So you want to check that out. But another project that I'm really, really interested in that I think is long overdue, along with other people. Not only do I think that we should have the harbor flights where planes when you go to Seattle, you'll see seaplanes that will land on Lake Washington and take off and go to different places around the area and even into Canada. But not only do I think that Tacoma should have that, because we also have a dock down there that's designed for that. I think that's a service we should definitely have. But another one that I think is equally important is to have a fast ferry service. Now, this is a project that a city council person decided to get started, and thankfully, it's going to take something like that to get these projects started. It's going to take someone within the city government to move on it. And so this is a project that is extremely important. Seattle has more ferry service than any other city in the United States. We have more ferry service and routes than any other city in the United States, more so than New York and some other places. The only other city in North America that beats us is Vancouver, Canada. But when you look at the amount of service that we're adding, that may get challenged one day. The current system that we have leaving Tacoma is basically over at Point Ruston, and it goes to Vashon Island. It is a ferry that handles cars, so vehicles and pedestrian traffic. So you can sit in your car while the ferry takes you over to the island, or you can walk on foot or bicycle or whatever you want to do and go up to the top and basically go over as well. And there's a fee for it. And a lot of our service in the area is like that, where the Washington State ferry system basically takes people to the various different places around here, and you're able to go by car, by bicycle, by whatever, by your feet. And so that is a service that has been shooting out of Seattle to different points all over the place. However, there is not one from Seattle to Tacoma, which I never understood that. You would think that they would have a ferry service from Seattle to Tacoma. Both cities combined, if you look at the population today of Tacoma and the population today of Seattle, both cities, not counting any other city, just those two cities, you're at 940,000 people. 940,000 people between the two cities, and there's not any other service other than car. That's the only way to get between those two cities. And when you put that into perspective, Sound Transit, the state, both share blame in not correcting that issue, to be honest with you. The only thing that we have to get back and forth is I-5. That's it. And the Sounder train. That's basically it. Other than that, you have no other option in terms of getting from Tacoma to Seattle. And that, to me, is a massive failure. Now, Sound Transit is building a light rail as we speak to Bellevue. But that's because Bellevue is hoity-toity and has a lot of money. And no shade against Bellevue, but again, your second largest city in the area is Tacoma, and yet that's not going to be done until 2030. So it's kind of stupid. And as this area continues to grow, because people can't afford Bellevue, they can afford Tacoma a lot better. As this city grows, the traffic nightmare on I-5 is going to continue. So we have to find other options until then. Yeah, you can keep trying to expand the Sounder train service, the commuter rail, but it's kind of slow. I mean, they go as fast as they can. Trust me, they haul going through these points, but it is a heavy rail commuter train system, so it's not as fast as we would like. If they were to bring a regular ferry service here, that's very slow. I mean, it's crawling. But again, it's something that is needed here to get people. A lot of people want to take their cars up to Seattle and avoid the nightmare on I-5. That's not done. So now the city is looking to potentially get a ferry service. Now, this would not involve vehicles. It would just be passenger only. And currently, Bremerton has done that. Kitsap County is ahead of the game. And they've started fast ferries in 2 different locations, I believe. And so this is something that, if it can work there, it obviously can work here. The population of those 2 places are tiny compared to Tacoma. And we have a lot of people in this area that have to take the trek up to Seattle, sometimes taking well over an hour and a half, 2 hours to get there. So it depends upon the time of day. Now, some people say, oh, it didn't take that long. Well, if you go on off-peak times, yeah, it's not going to take that long. But if you go during the typical time, the typical work rush hour times, it takes a long time to get up to Seattle. And that time is going to continue to add up. So the plan is to have a fast ferry project completed, if they can get everything done, in 3 years. So again, the year 2022. So not only are we going to have the BRT system, and again, Tacoma will have better transportation in 2022. That video is important. It outlines and talks about this. But we're going to have a BRT line that runs all the way from Spanaway up through Pack Avenue, all the way into downtown, over by the Tacoma Dome, and then over by the existing Tacoma Link extension. Then at that time, in the year 2022, the Tacoma Link extension project will be completed, where it's going to go all the way up into the Stadium District and into Hilltop. That project's going to be completed. And then at that point in time, if this does happen, which this is a $40 to $53 million project, which funding has been requested for this now. So they're looking into trying to get the funding for this in the next budget. But $40 to $53 million to start it up. They're looking at 3 ferries that would do this. Those ferries are pretty expensive, between $10 to $17 million each. They would have to basically create a ferry terminal, because we don't have one in Tacoma. And so this project will allow you to get from Tacoma to Seattle in under an hour. Now, that is faster than anything that we currently have outside a personal vehicle. You would be able to get from here to downtown Tacoma in under an hour, faster than the express bus, faster than the Sounder train, the 2 modes of public transportation we currently have. That is very impressive and very attractive for a lot of people who have to take this journey every single day. It also helps the city grow. Now, here's the area of concern that I have. Now, this ferry terminal, which will cost between $500,000 to $3 million, depending upon where it's located and what it's going to have, is going to be located in 4 different locations. There's 4 options they can choose. 3 of them I think are bad choices, to be honest with you. One is going to be at Point Ruston. I think that's a horrible choice, to be honest with you. Yeah, I can get why they're saying that, because it's land that they can easily use, and they don't have to worry about people complaining, and there's already a ferry service there, because it goes from Tacoma all the way over to Vashon, as I mentioned. However, it's away from the population base. The other location is Point Ruston. Again, I don't think that's a good option, because, again, you're away from a lot of the population base, a lot of the business. Point Ruston is becoming a new and up-and-coming area. But, again, I think you're going to have a lot of pushback, because people paid a lot of money to have the properties that they have over there. And I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of positive reception. The developer may say it's a great idea, But I don't think that people are going to like the massive amount of traffic that you're going to generate by having a fast ferry service and the amount of people that are going to be coming and going constantly. Don't think it's a good idea. The other option is Old Town. I don't think that's a great idea. Again, you're talking about an area that has a lot of nice homes. A lot of them are historic, and it's a very pricey area. People are not going to be that happy about having a bunch of people driving and parking their cars at some sort of garage or some location or some place and then taking a ferry to and from. I don't see it happening in those three different locations for different reasons. Out of the three, I think that Point Defiance has a better shot than the other two. The other location is around 11th Street downtown. That is the best option. Currently, there is a little bit of a marina area there, places where you can store your boats and all of that. So they would actually have to clear all that out, but there's tons of space there. You have a street that separates everything from, I think it's called Dock Street, believe it or not. But you have a personal street that you can actually go down. There's plenty of places where people can park. There's already parking spaces all along that area. It already has everything that you need. It's right there by the water. It's close to, it's obviously in downtown, which has all of the population centers that you need. It's already going to be where a lot of our transportation network is anyway. To me, once and if the service gets started, downtown is the only option that makes sense, in my opinion. I think putting it in any of the other three locations is just stupid. And I don't think you're going to get a positive reception in any of those other three locations. Point Defiance is way out of the way for a lot of people. And then Point Ruston, they're not going to like it. And Old Town definitely is not going to like it. So I think having it downtown where you have a little bit more acceptance in terms of that, where there's a whole lot of cultural amenities to begin with, a lot of tourists who come from Seattle, who come into Tacoma will have an easy shot from that ferry terminal to the various different attractions that Tacoma does have. So if this project does happen, 2022, again, is a big year for Tacoma. So 2019 is big because a lot of the entertainment stuff starts to happen. 2020 is going to be interesting as well. But then 2022, and I'm skipping 2021 because I don't know of what's going on. I mean, there's going to be a lot of other projects being completed and finished. But the big projects, 2019 and 2022, is going to be huge. Because in that year alone, we will have the BRT system, which is going to be great. We're going to have the Tacoma Link extension completed at that point in time, and then possibly fast ferry service connecting Seattle to Tacoma for really a long time. This used to be a typical route back in the day. This was something that happened all the time. There were ferries that linked people all over this area, and that went away. So now they're bringing back what used to be here, which made a lot of sense. And hopefully this project will get the green light. Hopefully the funding is there, and hopefully we can get the service started. I think that since Bremerton actually, or Kitsap County, was ahead of the game and smart in their thinking and actually getting the ferry service started, it actually has boosted Bremerton quite a bit. But since they actually got that project started, it let Tacoma know that, yeah, it's a possibility. The feasibility study is done. It basically says, look, there's enough of people who will use it. There's enough incentive to do it. Here's the cost. So it's laid everything out. So we've already got that part done. That phase of that has been paid for and completed. The next part of this is basically securing the funding for it, which they've already kind of hinted towards. They're getting ahead of the game on that, and then getting the parts moving. This sounds like the BRT system. They did the exact same thing. They moved very quickly on it, and that project is going to get started very, very soon, and will be done in really no time. This same type of thing is actually being worked on behind the scenes, and hopefully will get started. And if it does, it will be a major game changer for Tacoma. So again, Tacoma is winning right now in a lot of different areas, has done a lot of major improvements. I know people who live in Seattle who are on my page and they talk about Tacoma. Oh, I remember Tacoma's not really this or that. And it's like, but have you been to Tacoma in the last year? There's a lot of things that are actually changing here. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys are having a great day. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.